Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used a really fun team featuring Kyurem-B as well as coaching Pheromosa and White Herb Cinderace, so we'll be playing a couple more games with it today. Once again, huge thank you to Ripcoders for the team. You can find them linked in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste for this team. So let's get started with today's episode. Question of the day, I want to know what's one Pokemon you wish was VGC legal? Now, most Pokemon have actually been VGC legal at some point, especially in these restricted formats, but of course, this question basically applies to all of the mythical legendaries, so Pokemon like Mew or Jirachi, Celebi, for example. So my answer to that question would actually definitely be Mew. I think it's just such a versatile Pokemon and has a lot of interesting utility. So let's get started with today's episode. First game of the day, and we're up against Xerneas. Xerneas is not great for Kyurem, is it? Okay, we have Haze Feeny, though. That's actually really, really good for us. I could even lead Tapu Fini and Cinderace here. Lando Eye is actually kind of cool. My opponent's team is so specially oriented, although they do have Staktaka, which actually is like a pretty big Dynamax threat. Close combat from Pheromosa actually does pretty well. I definitely want to bring Kyurem, it's just probably not our max option. Cinderace is probably better to max. Lando Eye is actually not bad for damage output. Pheromosa is probably the most consistent here, just for the potential coaching strats. Close combat's also pretty valuable. Lando Eye for damage is actually really cool here. Pheromosa or Lando here. You could make an argument for Incineroar as well, because I could definitely see my opponent go with the Trick Room route as well. I'm going to go with Lando Eye here. I don't know if that's the right decision, but we didn't get to use it at all yesterday, and it actually does pretty good damage into my opponent's team here with super effective attacks into almost everything. And actually outspeeds most of my opponent's team as well, so we'll give it a try. Either way, if my opponent leads Indeedee plus Xerneas, I'd be very happy, because I can just go for Haze turn 1. Like Dynamax Cinderace, go for an attack, and then Haze. But they're going to go with Sun with Staktaka and Torkoal. Okay. Staktaka plus Torkoal. I have high jump kick here, but the thing is, Staktaka could obviously protect. Could also just Dynamax, which would be very interesting. The downside here is our Feeny doesn't actually have damage output. We do have Lando Eye in the back, so that helps. Like, the play I want to make here is just high jump kick into Staktaka and Nature's Madness into Torkoal. I'm down for that. This high jump kick is always obviously risky though, but I really don't want Trick Room going up here. If Trick Room goes up, I think we're in a lot of trouble. So we want to try to deny it if we can. I guess the thing is, what are the odds Staktaka just like stays in, doesn't protect, and goes for Trick Room? One thing I could have done then was like Dynamax Cinderace, Max Knuckle the Torkoal, double up into Torkoal. But I think even in the worst case, okay, so they're not going to protect or switch out, so we're going to get the high jump kick off. Nice. Is this one shot? Beautiful. Let's go, Cinderace. That was a crit. That may have mattered. I'm not 100% sure about that, but Staktaka is pretty defensive, so yeah. I am curious on the calc on that, so I'll do it after this game, but that's obviously a really big deal that we just pick up a KO like that. They're going to go for Eruption, so Cinderace is... I was going to say I was going to faint, but then I forgot we already took 50% of Torkoal's health, so that was pretty much the best start to the game possible. I do want to do that Staktaka calc after this turn, because I'm really curious, but either way, Xern comes out. I have Haze, so like I'm honestly content to just Haze here and go for a... Okay, let's think this through. This game isn't over yet. We have Lando Eye in the back. We've got Kyurem in the back. We eliminated Staktaka. Venusaur presumably is their last one. Although, actually, if you had Venusaur, it would make more sense to bring Venusaur out right now. Okay, honestly, I think our best play here is actually to heal pulse the Cinderace, max the Cinderace, and just G-Max Fireball into Xern. Yeah, there's actually not really much counterplay to that. Because, like, if you go for Geomancy here... Okay, I guess the problem is if we don't one-shot Xerneas in Sun with G-Max Fireball, but I'd be very surprised if non-Max Xerneas survives that. This is just a pretty safe play, all things considered. Because if Xerneas protects here, then you don't KO the Cinderace, and then I just heal it back up as well. Yep, and they go for Protect, that's fine. This is where Heal Pulse is so good for us. The Tapu Fini is amazing. And we still get damage through Protect, right? Like, that's the most important thing. So, I don't mind this at all. We had to high jump kick over Max Knuckle on turn 1. Yeah, that would have KO'd Xerneas, so that's good to know. Like, when you have a lead like this, you just want to go for your safest options, right? Like, an Earth Power from Torkoal's not KOing Cinderace right now. This is the beauty of Heal Pulse. And you just go for another Eruption, but yeah, Cinderace barely takes a dent there. Because, like, the other play I was thinking is, what, just Pyro Ball here and then Haze, but then since Xerneas protected, we get nothing out of that. And as you see, my opponent has no switch it into G-Max Pyro Ball right now. So, we can just go for another Heal Pulse and go for another Fireball. Sorry, I keep calling it G-Max Pyro Ball. G-Max Fireball. And they're going to switch out Torkoal, which is fine by me. Indeedee would be interesting, but it is going to be Venusaur. Okay. Wow, they actually maxed Xerneas. That is very interesting. I don't know if they survive this. They might with the sliver of HP. Kyurem in the back is going to be very good for us in this endgame. You know what? I actually really like my opponent's decision to max Xerneas. I think if they don't max Xerneas, they just instantly lose the game. So I think that is the right decision, because I think, yeah, they should survive a G-Max Fireball from the range that they're at. But then the question is, do you really knock us out in return? I wouldn't think so. Oh, Max Mindstorm. Not enough to KO us. Okay. But that's actually very cool for a bunch of different reasons. They just changed the terrain as well. That is very neat. Okay. Can Venusaur KO us with an Earth Power? They could also just, like, go for Sleep Powder right now. There's only 2 turns of Sunlight, but the problem here is my Fini actually can't deal damage. And Nature's Madness, but that's pretty much it. So I like the idea of Icy Winding here to try to outspeed with what we have in the back. I can't protect here, so I have to attack. I like the idea of Max Airstream here in a V. Well, nah, I think it's better to just Fireball here. We don't really need that speed boost, especially if I'm trying to Icy Wind in this position. Although Max Mindstorm in terrain might knock out the Tapu Fini from the range that it's at. So, I mean, this game has gone as well as possible, but it's still very scary, and that's because Venusaur is just such a good Pokemon. Yeah, they're going to just go for Sleep Powder and they're going to hit it, but that is the right play, so I can't fault them for that. See if they one-shot Tapu Fini from this range. We could have switched Fini out. Perhaps that was the play, actually, just to reconserve terrain. Oh, never mind, that doesn't KO Fini. Yeah, Xerneas is just pretty underwhelming damage-wise if you don't give it a Geomancy boost or something like a Life Orb, for example. Nice, and we hit Icy Wind, which is great. Actually pretty good damage into Venusaur. So that's 2 turns of max down on Xerneas now. We might actually outspeed Venusaur with Cinderace at this point. Our max is over, but that's fine. I mean, if you're my opponent, I think you just go for another Sleep Powder, but you can't knock out both of my Pokemon right now. And I still have Kyurem and Lando in the back. And I've lowered this thing's speed. So that's all good stuff for us. If you miss Sleep Powder, I could heal Cinderace back up. They might just Earth Power Cinderace here. I'm down to just Icy Wind in this position and Pyro Ball into Venusaur. Because Lando, I, and Kyurem should win the endgame for us. I think Cinderace is kind of underplayed in this format, honestly, so it's cool to be using it again. Yeah, so we do outspeed Venusaur, but we stay asleep, unfortunately. Okay, they're just going to go for Sludge Bomb. And Fini hangs on. Very clutch. Nice. Sweet. So now we're definitely outspeeding Venusaur with what we have in the back. So Lando I is actually looking very nice for cleanup right now. And they're going to go for a third Mindstorm here, this time into Cinderace. Yep. It didn't end up making a difference, but I could have tried to Sucker Punch there, because if I woke up... Oh, Psychic Crane's up, so it actually wouldn't work. Well, actually, you changed type still, right? Even if it fails? I'm not 100% sure on that mechanic interaction. Is it better to go Kyurem or Lando? Does Kyurem get outsped here? Oh, Venu could outspeed it if they switch back out into Torkoal, so I think we have to go into Landorus here. Okay. We got Lando out. Yeah, I mean, this is why it's always scary to play against Venusaur. When there's Sleep Powder, there's always a way to come back into the game. We've seen Sleep Powder Sludge Bomb. You're probably running a Grass-type attack. I'd be very surprised if Venusaur's running Protect in this position. So I'd like to just go for Icy Wind here and Earth Power into Venusaur. I think if you're my opponent, you switch Venusaur out into Torkoal, protect Xerneas. Looks like they're going for that. But we have AV Kyurem in the back, which is good. This is going to be a close finish, though, because if my opponent just gets, like, max sleep rolls, this could be very dicey. This was a position to actually intentionally not KO the Torkoal. If we had Moonblast on the Feeny, this would pretty much be a wrap. Now, if you're my opponent, you bring out the Venusaur, you Sleep Powder, prey onto the Landorus, and you just Icy or Dazzling Gleam, right? So I have Icy Wind, but I'm not sure Lando will outspeed Venusaur even after a speed drop. I don't think Icy Wind KOs Xerneas from that range. That's my only problem. I'm definitely Icy Winding here with Feeny. The debate is whether or not I want to consider protecting here. Because surely you Sleep Powder into Landorus, right? So that just prevents me from taking a Dazzling Gleam. And then I have two Pokemon I can put on offensive pressure. Actually, yeah, it's definitely to protect here, I think. Because then, assuming you knock out Feeny... Oh, they could Geomancy right now. I didn't even think about that. That would be wild. Huh. Okay, we get the first Icy Wind off. Oh, that does knock out Xerneas. Was that a crit? Nope, not even. Okay, Feeny actually came through with the damage here. Nice. I don't know if Geomancy actually would have made a difference because we got multiple Icy Winds off against the Xerneas anyway, so Lando probably would have been fine. But yeah, Kyurem doesn't end up coming out in this one. But we were never in a position where we really needed it. So now we can just go for another Icy Wind. Feeny was the MVP of this one, though, hanging on from that Sludge Bomb. Getting so many Icy Winds off across the board was so huge. So, the thing with Sleep Powder is it's just so volatile, right? Like, you have a 25% chance to just miss outright, and then, like, you know, your opponent can just get a one-turn wake. And so you're relying on a lot when you go for Sleep Powder, but my opponent had no other choice in this game, so certainly can't fault them for it. That's why Sleep Powder is such a good move, but Icy Wind Feeny was so good for us in this one. So the one thing I'm curious here is the Calc High Jump Kick onto Staktaka. Because I don't know if that would have been a guaranteed KO. We could have gotten very lucky getting that critical hit to start off the game. So let's see. Cinderace. Okay, let's just finish the game, so first. Yeah, now I can just go for another Icy Wind. And this is, like, you know, previously we just used Soak, Icy Wind, Tapu Fini, but in this game, like, we didn't really need to... like, this Fini set is fun, right? Because it's not necessarily Soak. And it has Icy Wind as well, but you're not locked into Choice Scarf, so you can actually switch up your moves as well, which is really valuable. So now we can just bring Kyurem and Icicle Spear. Yeah, turn 1, we just gained so much momentum. Like, anytime you have a turn 1 like that, you basically have to ask yourself, how do I not throw this game? The main thing is basically just denying Xerneas a Geomancy. If Xerneas Geomancies, it can always have comeback potential. Like, the biggest ways your opponents can typically come back is through boosting a Pokemon, increasing their stats, and making it, you know, too difficult to KO. Or they just KO you before you can move. So, Lando gets the Earth Power off, and that's enough for a KO. Nice. So, Cinderace into Staktaka. High Jump Kick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would have been a KO, so I don't feel that bad about the crit. Yeah, I mean, if they are max HP, no defense Staktaka, High Jump Kick's a guaranteed KO. Even if they're max HP, max defense bold, oh, they're never surviving that. Okay, so yeah, then I don't feel bad about that crit. I wasn't 100% sure. We can even check their spreads here. So it was Life Orb with Foul Play, that's pretty cool. Goggles, Indeedee, Power of Xerneas, yep, with that Psyshock, so no Moonblast. Shucka, Staktaka. They didn't have Protect here, so yeah, that helped us a lot. 168 HP. So they were max HP, and I don't think they had any defensive estimate here. Oh, they had just a little bit. Yeah, so High Jump Kick there is a guaranteed KO. Well, it's always a guaranteed KO without like a Fighting Resist Berry. Venusaur, yep, did not have Protect. As I said, you know, we saw Sleep Powder and Sludge Bomb, and you typically want a Grass-type attack, and then Earth Power or Weather Ball are both so common, so it's tough to fit Protect on it. and then Charcoal, Torkoal. So turn 1 basically went as well as possible, especially because my opponent didn't have Protect on Staktaka. The reality there is that even if they had Protect and we high jump kicked into a Protect, we'd probably faint with Cinderace, but then I get a free switch into Lando Eye, and that's actually not the end of the world for us. Because Lando Eye can then just one-shot in that position, and then Feeny can heal it back up. So that was a scenario in which I was actually willing to potentially give up a Pokemon to get a free switch in, because the free switch in would also put on a lot of pressure, and we just really couldn't let Trick Room go up against us. If Trick Room goes up against us, we're in a lot of trouble. So, yeah. Zacian, Coalossal. Okay, this is not an easy matchup. I mean, this is like... Kyurem is countered as hard as possible here. They have Dragapult, Coalossal, and Zacian. So, this is probably not a great Kyurem game. Now, Feeny with Haze, once again, is very intriguing. How does Speed Swap work here? Like, can I do anything funky with Speed Swap? Does Lando Eye Earth Power one-shot? Because part of me wants to go Pheromosa Landorus and then Speed Swap Earth Power. That's probably too obvious, though, right? I don't know. It's actually really interesting to me. Man, Incineroar is like... Yeah, I feel like I need it just because of Zacian, but it really isn't that good here. I don't know. My opponent has a lot of anti-Feeny stuff, too. I kind of want to try this out. I don't know if it'll work. Okay, let's say I wanted to play safer. What do I lead with? Feeny. Then I need something to cover Feeny. Feeny Cinderace, then, maybe? I'm honestly down for Pheromosa Landorus, because if my opponent gets careless, I can Speed Swap onto Landorus, and this thing can just sweep through my opponent. So, we'll see. Yeah, this is the problem with Kyurem Black, right? It does have a lot of unfavorable matchups in the format. That's why you don't see it used very often. Steel-type restricteds in general are pretty tough. Colossals everywhere. This does match up decently into Sun, but my opponent had Staktaka Sun in that last one. Dragapult Primarina. Okay. Kyurem would have been sick here. Well, actually, not necessarily, I guess, because Kyurem does get hit by just max Wormwind. Now I have to question whether or not the Dragapult potentially is going to max. We want to play towards Kyurem at this point, but nice job on my opponent to not lead Coalossal. If I led Pheromosa... I don't think I'd ever lead Pheromosa Kyurem, though. Actually, it could be worth it if Pheromosa still outspeeds Coalossal at +6. I don't know. I don't think it does, though. I don't know what to do turn 1. That's the problem. Like, I want to protect here, but I honestly think Dragapult might be the max Airstream variant and choose to Dynamax here. I want to protect Sludge Bomb, but this is already looking bad if they have Cold. Actually, you could switch Primarina into Cold, but yeah, they're going to max. So, best case is then maxing the Primarina, because then I can bring in Kyurem and Speed Swap. Okay, you know, this isn't terrible then. This could be a lot worse. Unless they max Strike with Primarina, if they're not Liquid Voice for some reason. But, like, I don't mind this because then I can bring in the Kyurem and just go for Speed Swap, Max Hailstorm into Dragapult. I actually try to Will-O-Wisp Pheromosa. That's fine with me. It may have been better to try to knock out Dragapult here because there's a decent chance they're Focus Sashed. They're just going to Geyser. Yeah, that's fine. Into Landorus. Okay. Well, Landorus, thank you for your work. Didn't get to do too much here, but that's fine. So we get the free switch into Kyurem. Now my opponent's going to try to Will-O-Wisp the Kyurem, presumably. I didn't bring in Feeny. I have to bring in Kyurem right now. Cinderace can actually be pretty good late game, though. My only fear now is Sash Dragapult. Like, it's a decently common item. Sometimes you'll see, like, Dark Resist Berry, Ghost Resist Berry. Sash is... They don't have an Urshifu on this team, so I actually really think Sash is on Dragapult. Which is not good for us, if that's the case. I'm still going to go for the Speed Swap play. Wait, I could Speed Swap an Icicle Spear, but then the problem is I take a huge Max Starfall from Primarina. Yeah, okay. If they're not Sash Dragapult, I think we're in pretty good shape. I guess not necessarily, actually. My opponent has Zacian in the back. That's just going to cause me so much trouble as well. This is just... Yeah. Like, we're hindered significantly by Kyurem, unfortunately, not having great coverage into the Zacian. And I probably needed Incineroar then over Kyurem, but even then, ugh. Great lead by my opponent. Alright, so we'll get the swap off. But the thing is, it's like the swap doesn't even help us that much if we can't one-shot Dragapult. Or sorry, Coalossal. Not Dragapult. Zacian, which we know we can't one-shot. Yeah, and their Focus Sash too. Even if I Earth Powered into Dragapult though, this wouldn't have been that good for us. I didn't even think about Primarina in Team Preview, like beating Kyurem, but that's another big issue for us, right? Okay, they offer Dragon Darts though, so we don't get burnt at least. That's kind of a big deal. Probably get hit by a Starfall. Maybe if this goes on a Kyurem, like we stand a chance. Because we don't take that much damage. It's just like you get to bring in Zacian for free. I have no way to really do that much damage into it. I guess the interesting thing with Zacian though is that I can max Lightning close combat into it. Or max Knuckle close combat. Which would give Pheromosa an attack boost. Can my opponent just pick up a double KO this next turn though? Zacian's just too good right now. They bring out Rillaboom, huh? Okay, I mean we take those. That's really good for us, I would say. I'm very surprised by that. Fake Out or Glide into Pheromosa is pretty prevalent. I don't mind switching out into Cinderace in this position. Cinderace. Is it Cinderace and just go max Lightning here into Primarina? That changes terrain, so Rillaboom then can't do as much. I just don't know if Max Lightning... I don't think Max Lightning one-shots Primarina from this range, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm really surprised they didn't just bring out Zacian outright, though. They're gonna go Glide. Okay, they're doubling up on a Kyurem, and I don't... With that crit, I think we're definitely fainting. Without the crit, we might have had a chance to survive. Maybe this KOs. Aw, it was so close. Oh, if I actually stayed in with Pheromosa and went Max Lightning close combat onto Primarina, we would have picked up the KO there. But I felt like I needed to conserve Primarina. Or sorry, conserve Pheromosa. But, okay, I think we could still win this game. Because now the thing is, there's no more terrain, so I can get a coaching onto the Cinderace. No, but I need a speed swap Cinderace, right? I needed to outspeed my opponent's Zacian in the back. It's probably, that. I think that's AV Primarina. If we picked up the KO onto Primarina there, we would have been in such good shape. But the double up on Kyurem was very smart. I don't think that crit mattered, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I think the play here is to Pyro Ball Primarina. You know what you should do if you're my opponent? You should switch... They have to make the decision. Do you switch Rillaboom out into Zacian? Because it's very risky, right? What if I just Pyro Ball close combat here? Wait, maybe that's fine. Because Pheromosa outspeeds Zacian, right? Oh, but Primarina probably has Aqua Jet here, no? They have Coalossal on the team. Does Aqua Jet KO us? I could have protected Pheromosa here, too. Oh, but we hang on with one? I don't think it matters, though, because their last one's going to be Zacian. I could have gone Speed Swap onto Cinderace, Pyro Ball onto the Rillaboom, but I think Primarina had one more turn of Hail left in it. But I wasn't 100% sure on that. And we miss. Okay, well then that's definitely game over. I don't know if the miss mattered, but it's not what you want to see. That was a good double up onto my Kyurem. Like, I could have close combated the Primarina that turn. That might have been a game-winning play. Because then I Hailstorm to knock out Rillaboom. So, I maybe should have just stayed in with my Pheromosa. I think +1 Sacred Sword... You know, I'm actually going to do that calc right now. Whether or not +1 Sacred Sword KOs Cinderace. Because if it does, then the miss didn't matter at all. Gosh, it probably picks up the KO. It's so strong. But I do want to confirm that. Okay, Sacred Sword. +1. That's not a KO. And Pyro Ball's a KO in return. Now, they could have stalled us out a little bit with Sub. I was taking hail damage as well anyway, so, yeah. Yeah, I can't say the crit and the miss mattered 100% in this game. I'm thinking the crit didn't just because they went for the double up that turn anyway. But I think that miss definitely could have hurt. Because Sacred Sword from Jolly Zacian at +1 does 76 to 89, 90%. So we would have taken Hail. Like, we would have essentially knocked out Rillaboom, right? And then it would be Cinderace versus Zacian. And then it's a damage roll, basically, at that point. Because we would have taken a couple of turns of Hail. And then the other question is whether or not they have Substitute as well. Because if they have Sub, then you can Sub Protect and alternate between the two. Alright, last game of the day, and we've got an Yveltal team here. I think we played this player a couple days ago on Road to Ranked, if I remember correctly. So, pretty cool to get a rematch. One thing that you all pointed out in the last episode was, or actually this was with Zekrom, I suppose, but I always forget about Terravolt. So Terravolt's kind of cool here in dealing with Raichu. What do I expect? Raichu Lapras lead? Pheromosa Kyurem-B's okay. If I'm expecting Raichu Lapras, though, Pheromosa Kyurem doesn't work out that well for us, right? It's still not bad, though. Pheromosa Kyurem. Lando's honestly really cool here. How do I do damage into Yveltal in the late game is my fear. Like, I kind of want to go Lando Fini here. Is Fini the right choice? It does give me a switch into attacks that can change terrain. It might just be Incineroar, though, quite frankly. It's between Incineroar and Fini. I'm going to go with Incineroar instead. The problem with Fini is if I'm bringing it, I need to bring it to support, and I don't see enough support here. Like, healing is nice, but I like Incin just because it actually can do some damage with Flare Blitz into non-max Yveltal, into Metagross as well. It offers me Intimidate, which is valuable against Rillaboom. So, yeah. Okay, it's going to be Metagross Incin. How do I feel about this? Not great, admittedly, but I think we're going to probably just try to play the stall out the Dynamax game. So, turn 1, I think I'm just going to switch out Kyurem out into Incineroar. You know, this actually might be a double switch. Just who you target here. Because I honestly think a double up and a Pheromosa here would make a lot of sense. I don't want to carelessly switch in Lando I and get KO'd. That's the main thing. So the easiest play here is probably to protect Pheromosa and then switch Kyurem out into Incineroar. It's just if I could get Lando I in safely this next turn, we'd be in such a good spot. I'm going to play it safe on turn 1 at least. Protect and switch out. Now my opponent could read into this and Max Quake into the Kyurem slot. That'd be a really nice play on their end. Not being able to intimidate Metagross is obviously a bummer. Well done on their end to go with Metagross. I think we could have played towards Cinderace in this game. Like, I could have led Pheromosa Cinderace, protect turn 1, Dynamax Cinderace, Max Knuckle, Instant. And then turn 2 coaching onto Cinderace, Max Knuckle again. That gets us to +3 attack in 2 turns. And +1 defense. Why didn't I go with Cinderace? Mainly because I was nervous about Lapras. So, I had to cover for 2 different things, 2 different max options here. My opponent went with the better one of the 2. So, yeah, well done on their end. Okay, yep, they did fake out into Pheromosa. Let's see. And Steel Spike. Okay, that went as well as expected, basically. Now what is the question? What do I want to do this next turn? I like the idea of switching Incineroar out into Lando, because you probably want to Quake here. Maybe you want to Target Pheromosa instead, though. The only problem is I can't get a coaching until I stall out my opponent's Dynamax. Like, that's my only problem. There's also a chance my opponent just doubles up into Pheromosa here. Steel Spike into Pheromosa and, like, Flare Blitz is pretty safe. I could fake out Insane close combat it. Oh, that's actually not too bad, but then they could Hailstorm with Metagross onto Pheromosa. Ah, tricky, tricky, tricky. I'm going close combat switching to Landorus, but like, I really wanted to get a single coaching off in this game, and I might not be able to accomplish that, sadly. That'd make me very sad, actually. Okay, so we'll get close combat off. It's huge amounts of damage, wow. That's really nice. 2 turns of max. Nice, okay, we get the Quake. Oh, that is exactly what I wanted to see. Beautiful. Alright, that's so good for us. That's exactly what we needed here. It's funny because we're operating with some really feral Pokemon in Landorus and Pheromosa, but this is why Incineroar is just so good. Oh, but we get burnt! No! Oh, that mitigates so much of the work I had done. Because the thing is, if I don't get burnt there, I can just double protect this next turn, stall out the max. Ah, that makes this so much harder. Man, that's a disappointment. Okay, let's not tilt though. We can still definitely win this. Just makes things a lot harder. Kind of want to. Well, I think we should go Kyurem here. It just sucks because we have to end up taking a max Steel Spike, right? That hurts so much. Never mind. I think I'm gonna go Incineroar then. Okay. Stay composed. Let's figure out our path to victory right now. No, it's not buried instant. They have one more turn of max on Metagross. Kyurem's not bad as a late game sweeper. If I'm my opponent, I would, probably switch Incineroar out right now to reconserve Intimidate for Kyurem specifically. That's the other part of the problem. I can't really max Landorus here. I think I'm going to get hit by a max Hailstorm on Landorus. Maybe I did need to go out into Kyurem immediately then and just Knuckle. Okay, I'm actually going to Parting Shot Incineroar here, protect Landorus, expecting their Incineroar to swap out. Yeah. Oh, they bring in Yveltal. The thing is, now they can just Sucker Punch my Landorus. Oh, interesting. We're faster. This is kind of dicey, actually, if they end up Quaking, but would you really Quake into Incineroar here? I mean, the upside is that we stalled out my opponent's max, but the downside is that we didn't KO Incineroar. That's also why I really wanted Pheromosa around for one more turn to close combat into that slot. Okay. Okay. I thought that went into Kyurem for a second and my heart stopped. That would be an insanely impressive read. So really slow Metagross. Okay, so yeah, we're still in this then. They never got any special defense boosts. We have Earth Power to just threaten into the Metagross. The only thing is, I don't know if I want to Dynamax right now. If you're my opponent, you could pretty easily protect Metagross in this position. They have defense boosts. I typically don't like the idea of maxing, but I think here it's actually fine to just go for Hailstorm and Earth Power. Was that really my best play? I kind of rushed it that turn. They switch out. See, this is okay, though. Oh, wow, they had Lapras in the back. That's really interesting. Okay. Well, they don't have any electric resists, right? So we are free to just spam Max Lightning. I would think Life Orb Metagross one-shots into... Or Lapras one-shots into Metagross here. I could have Knuckled into Yveltal, but I didn't want to get an attack boost yet. But now we know. They have no fighting resists. Metagross doesn't protect. Does this get the one-hit KO? I would think so. Oh, it's AV, isn't it? I just realized that. Okay, but we can definitely pull off the comeback right now. Could you imagine if I knuckled into the Metagross slot there, though? Oh, but they just Iron Head. Okay, so Kyurem stays around. Yeah, this is doable. This is definitely doable. Does Metagross faint? I actually didn't want it to faint there. Let's see. Okay. Like, it only gets an Iron Head off. The main thing to watch out for is Yveltal Foul Play. It's really interesting they bring Yveltal up first here. Lapras doesn't scare me with Kyurem at all. We've got Incineroar in the back. Here, I really like just Hailstorming Yveltal because it covers for an Incineroar switch out. And then switch Landorus out into my Incineroar for fake out. Oh, but it could be Policy Yveltal. Should I have Rock Slided? No. Sludge Bomb? Hailstorm Yveltal? Yeah, I'm not sure. Ideally, they just switch Yveltal out, and I get a KO. Okay, so we switch Lando. I'm curious if they just didn't have Ice Punch on Metagross. They protect. Okay, but by protecting, I can double up onto that slot next turn. So it could be worse. That was an opportunity to max Knuckle into the Lapras slot, though. And this is probably going to be Weakness Policy, then. Yeah. But the thing is, now I can just fake out the slot next turn. They're going to go for Freeze Dry. Okay, not bad, not bad. Lando is looking decent for this endgame. Please no freeze. Life Orb Lapras, okay. That's also good to know. Pretty interesting set of items here. AVE on Metagross, Life Orb on Lapras, Policy on Yveltal. Okay, so now what do I want to do? I think we just go Fake Out Lightning onto the Yveltal here. Yeah. They might need to go for a double protect. It's just one of those games. Now my question is whether or not they have Sucker Punch. I mean, that was the right play for them to make, so yeah, I can't be upset at them. It's just really frustrating. Because I think if neither the burn nor the double happens, we win. But the thing is, I probably could have just predicted the... Nah, I don't like predicting the double there, and they hit Hydro too. Okay, now the big question is whether or not they have Sucker Punch on Yveltal. If you don't have Sucker Punch, I can still just Rock Slide and pick up a double KO here. That's upsetting. Okay. There was a good protect on Yveltal, though. We should have known it was Weakness Policy, right? Now it's just a Sucker Punch guessing game. Do you have Sucker Punch here? And would it KO Kyurem? I can't really protect here. I think... Do I just really play towards it not having Sucker Punch? If it has Sucker Punch, we can't win. I think. So we need to basically hope it doesn't have Sucker Punch. I'm just going to Fusion Bolt Lapras here and Rock Slide, but... Actually, wait, we could theoretically win... Even if it had Sucker Punch, if I protected Landorus here. I'm just going to go for Rock Slide here. I think Yveltal speeds Kyurem too. Oh my goodness. Sludge Bomb was the correct play there, actually, specifically to cover for the miss. Jeez, I need a breather after this one. What the heck? Nice. Okay. Well, this is why you don't give up and you don't tilt in Pokemon, but, I mean, it was definitely frustrating. That being said, you know, my opponent made all the right plays, right? Like, it's not their fault they burnt my Pheromosa or got the double protect, and it was good awareness of them to recognize they needed to go for the double protect. Honestly, one thing that made this a little bit easier for us is that they never brought their Incineroar in for an Intimidate, because they could have pivoted Incin out and in a couple times. The good thing for us is that without a Berry, they were going to Fame from a max move, right? So at best, they could have gotten a single Intimidate off in this game, but I can't help but think I could have played this game better as well by going for max Knuckles rather than just like whiffing attacks here at left and right, because their switch-ins were really, really good on their end. Yeah, that was a stressful one. I should have Sludge Bombed with Lando, I think, instead. That was a mistake as well. I guess the question is whether or not it actually knocks out Yveltal. I feel like it should, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Either way, that was a wild set of games, but Kyurem was pretty good in this one, so happy to, yeah, bring Kyurem and Lando and Pheromosa in this final game with this team. So, yeah. That's going to be it. Thank you once again to Ripcoder for the team. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching. Rental and Pacer in the description below if you want to try it out. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll catch you all next time. All right. Peace.